Hello and welcome everybody to the Fantasy Life Championship Draft live stream tonight. And I'm joined by my good friend Howard Bender. He's been doing this solo the last few weeks. Howard, it's good to be with you tonight and to be co-hosting this draft with you.
Co-hosting? I thought you were just running the show and I was just here for like eye candy, man. I'm locked in. It's the Fantasy Life Championship, man. It's a $300 entry, $1,600 in league prizes, and oh baby, $500,000. Who doesn't want to win $500,000 just playing fantasy football? I've been prepping for this all day long, Jeff. So you just keep talking. If you have something you want me to say, I'll say it then. No, I'm just kidding.
So as you can tell, Howard is actually in this draft as well. He's done the Beat Bender contest the last few weeks by himself on the air, and that's been a lot of fun to watch. And he's drafted there. But now he's doing the Fantasy Life Championship tonight. He had the third pick, and we have started this draft already. There's a lot of good drafters in it. I will bring it up so everybody can see it, and I will set the stage here real quick. First pick is Nerd, and then Mini-Me, and then, as I mentioned, Howard Bender has the third pick. And then T-Swerve, Krish's Kudos. This guy's in the draft every time, and I always mispronounce his name with Howard.
I just call him Krish. You know?
Okay, that's easy. And then the dog will do it. Live, Rock'em Sock'em, Du Bois, at Joe Jaco, Rusty Hammer, and Fozzie Dog. Our good friend Jeremy Brock is picking on the turn, and he's picking right now. So Howard, you had the third pick, and I think this one is fairly easy at this stage of the game. Personally, it's usually Robinson, Gibbs, or Chase go 1, 2, 3, and then whoever's picking third is left with who's ever not picked. Is that kind of how you were approaching things with this big draft?
Yeah, this is kind of what I expected. I expected this exactly to happen, because I'm a running back guy. And I've been doing so many best ball drafts. This is my first season long draft that I've done. I'm like, in the deep end of the pool, no floaties at this point. So, it's one of those things where I'm a huge running back guy. I've always been a huge running back guy. Watching Fozzie take, James Cook and Saquon on the turn like that. Back end of the draft. I love both the running backs here. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it falls to me here in pick 2. I've got a couple of ideas as to which players it's going to be, but this could be one of those drafts, Jeff, where, you just have to throw what you normally do out the window if you're getting particular value. And, Jamar Chase, I've been ranking him number 1 overall for the last couple of years. Third, I'll take it.
So I know you've talked about how you've done more best ball drafts than anything, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you. And quite personally, I feel like the top 3 is kind of a good spot to be. And if I'm not there, I'd rather be at the back end of the draft, because those guys like 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm kind of scared of some of them, quite frankly. What are your thoughts on where you like to pick at this point after doing some drafts?
At this point here, I mean, this is the rarity for me. I don't usually get to pick at the top end of the draft. So I usually, again, I don't mind over there if I'm going to get Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs. When you get to the spot at 3, you kind of have to, is it Jonathan Taylor? Is it Christian McCaffrey? I don't really know. So I like being at the back end there. We see it right now. Brian Huff just took Kenneth Walker. He's got him paired up with Ashton Genty, Hampton Achane for Joe Jacoby. Joe Jacoby, winner of the Beat Howard Bender tournament last year. Joe's actually started up his own YouTube channel now. Joe got the bug. I brought Joe on for a show, and Joe now all of a sudden he's got the bug for podcasting. So
nice.
He's into it, here. So the Hampton Achane tandem, I love that. And then the James Cook Saquon Barkley one. So I love being in the back end of drafts. That's where I love being right now because of that. But we'll see what happens to me with any potential running backs who are going to come back to me here. I don't have very high aspirations. Let me put it that way.
I'll go over that first round for everybody. You can see it as well. It was Bijan Robinson first, and then Gibbs second. Jamar Chase went to Howard, then Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Ashton Genty, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Omarion Hampton, Justin Jefferson, and James Cook. Nothing too crazy surprising in that first round. Howard, your picks coming up here right before you. We had Saquon Barkley go, Chase Brown, Devin Achane, CeeDee Lamb, Kenneth Walker, Drake London, A.J. Brown, Jeremiah Love. So in this round, we have already seen 5 running backs off the board. There's not been a tight end taken yet. It's been all running backs and receivers right now. Howard, you're 1 pick away. Are you hoping for this guy to take some are you hoping you have somebody in mind right now is what I should say?
I mean, I've got a couple of players who I'm kind of twisting around in my head of who I would like to who I'd like to grab here, but I think there are enough options that T Swerve probably isn't going to take my guy. At least I'm kind of hoping that T Swerve isn't going to take my guy. But it was kind of funny if all right, Derrick Henry, there you go. So here it is. I think I called this pretty perfectly on today's fantasy alarm show, Jeff. I said, right, would it be the weirdest thing in the world? As we're like sitting there, we're talking about like zero RB strategy versus hero RB versus robust RB. And as we're kind of going through it, and I was thinking about where I am position wise in this draft, is it going to be the weirdest thing in the world to see me end up starting the draft with Jamar Chase and Nico Collins?
There you go. Nico
and there
Collins,
it is.
Jamar Chase. You went 0 running back with the first 2 picks. I like that stack, Howard. There's one other team that has 2 running backs. The Du Bois team has Amon-Ra St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb. So what's your feeling on Nico Collins? And you took him there at that point. A lot of good receivers still on the board. What's your thoughts on him for the coming season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this guy, I think now here in year 2 with Nick Caley realizing, right, Houston went on that win streak because Caley was like, oh wait, I do need like a base offense to work through, and then make the adjustments necessary based on who my opponent is. And and I think we started to see them kind of hit their stride. Obviously the defense certainly helped them win a bunch of games, but I think what we're looking at right now with Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins is hopefully stepping up a little bit more into the limelight. I think that this is a good situation that they've got going there in Houston.
They improved the offensive line too, in my opinion. And I think actually David Montgomery coming there is a positive for the passing game, because you have a good running game can definitely help open things up as well. So I think the addition of some help along the offensive line to get Montgomery is going to be good news for that offense. Howard's up now once again. I'm going to guess you might address that running back position right now. Just a hunch, but maybe you'll surprise me. We did not see running back go since you picked. It was Trey McBride, went right after you, then Chris Olave, Brock Bowers, and George Pickens in the 3rd round. Now Howard's up after going receiver, Jamar Chase, and Nico Collins. Let's see what RotoBuzz does.
You know what? I think, I am going to attack the running back position. I actually thought about the possibility of taking another wide receiver here, but seeing as how, you see all the running backs who are off the board, and this is going to be, not necessarily a 0 RB kind of way, but maybe like a hero RB. Take one guy who, is probably like the last of the bell cows and see what you can do with that. So I'm going to go RB here. I'm going to take Javonte Williams, who I think is in an absolutely fantastic spot in Dallas, given we know what the offense is, and we know that, with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. But what we also learned was that there is no competition for touches. It's Javonte Williams. Like, he gets everything. He gets all the work. He's going to get he gets the football at the 1, right? Those nice pass interference calls in the end zone. But Javonte really, Phil Maffa doesn't really impress me very much. Jadon Blue, hasn't really, I haven't heard anything about him like really developing into something. So I look at Javonte and say, here's a guy who's going to get all the touches out of that backfield, and he's going to get all the goal line work. And if they can incorporate him a little bit more into the passing game, it would be even better.
So I'm kind of confused because I feel like some people are down on him for some reason. They don't think he can match the production of last year, but I totally agree with you. I think he has a lot of good things going for him this year. I mean, he broke 25 tackles last year, showed good ability to make plays after contact, 2.5 yards per carry after contact. So he wasn't just a speed back. I think he was healthy. And like you said, he's going to get all the work, the goal line carries. And I think Javonte Williams is set up for good things. It is hard, though, for me to take a Cowboy, being on the show with Glenn Colton and you're on with Jim Bowden. And so I'm sure it's hard for you to get behind the Cowboys, but you powered through it.
All right, see, this is business, man. This is business. This ain't personal at this point in time right now. Again, $300. That's what the entrance fee is. $500,000 is the potential. And I'll say this also, as our good friend Joe Jacoby gets ready to make his pick, just one simple little note here. One of the pieces of advice that he gave, which was fantastic. It was, obviously it was about the best ball work at the end of the tournament, right? He said, you want a piece of that week 17 Monday night game. You want a piece of that last game going into a big tournament because anything can happen. Now, when he did it last year, he had shares of Bijan and Puka. How he ended up with shares of Bijan and Puka is beyond me, but he ended up with with the Rams and the Falcons, and it was great. And so when he said that, one of the funny things was that he said it, and then I was employing that in the draft. It's Houston against Green Bay in Green Bay. So, Nico Collins kind of adds that little element for me.
I have never thought about that. That's an interesting point because it does seem like being around these big contests a lot, being here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, it always does come down to Monday night with some marquee players going. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit there. I like that, Joe. Good work. I can see why he's podcasting. This guy's got good ideas. I'm gonna have to get him on here. We're gonna have to get him on here, maybe with us for one of these drafts.
Oh, dude, listen. I've already told him I want to collaborate with him. He started up his own YouTube channel. I'm watching that, and the funny thing for me also is that as a New Yorker, when Joe starts to fall back in his Staten Island talk, you seen this guy, and it's like, I was like, just. Right, it makes me want to grab like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a Kaiser roll and just sit and have a slice of pizza.
I want to look at these first two rounds though a little bit, Howard. So is there any picks in these first two rounds, looking at the ADP right now, you're just kind of scared of some of these players and you're just kind of shying away from them? Anybody fit that category? I feel like I'm that way with Derrick Henry every year, and I probably shouldn't be. But I still get scared of him a little bit. Is there anybody that fits that narrative for you at all in these first couple rounds?
Yeah, I've got a couple of them, actually. It's kind of funny. Number one, Christian McCaffrey. I had McCaffrey all last year. I love Christian McCaffrey. Did I see him sit out with his shoulder at the towards the tail end in the last game or two of the season? Yes. Did he wear down a little bit? Yeah, he got a little tired, got a little beaten up. I feel like I'm playing, it's like when you're at the blackjack table and you're up $5,000 and you're like, now I can go take this $5,000 and have myself a big old dinner and, go pay some bills and do some fun stuff with that. Or I could sit here and just kind of, piss it all back and give it all away at the table. So I feel like I'm walking away up having McCaffrey last year, no injuries, won championships, beautiful. This year, I think if I go back to that, I feel like it could be problematic. So that's I know I say draft injury agnostic all the time, but that's something that you can't help but think of. It's same with Derrick Henry, because how many times last year did you see Derrick Henry suddenly have to push it outside because he couldn't break through the line in the middle when they stacked the box on him? So he's slowing down. And then this one's probably the most hurtful if I'm talking running backs here, adds Breece Hall. Because when Aaron Glenn said that he is really excited about this three-headed monster in his backfield, well, that's doom and gloom for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, that's a good call. You never want to hear three-headed monster when it comes to
Oh.
fantasy football. That's not good, not good. Let's look at this third round. It went Brock Bowers, George Pickens, and you took Javonte Williams, Rashee Rice, Travis. I mean, are you pronouncing his
Come
name?
on, you got to put some Cajun on it. Etienne.
What is that? I don't understand.
I mean, he's
Okay.
just putting some Cajun on it. He's
All
going with
right.
Etienne.
Etienne. All right. Travis Etienne. Brees Hall, the aforementioned Brees Hall, Cam Scatterboo, Devonta Smith, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Josh Allen, and Quinshawn Judkins. Fozzie Dog picking on the turn. Everybody's favorite drafter here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, in my opinion. He has not taken a rookie yet, so that's a little bit of a surprise. Fozzie loves those rookies. He has James Cook, Saquon, Quinshawn Judkins, and then Malik Neighbors. So let's talk about Malik Neighbors a little bit. Obviously, you got to be a little concerned, which is why he went in the fourth round because of the injury stuff regarding him. Are you is this a guy you're flagging and just trying to stay away from, or if it's the price is right, you're going to go ahead and get him?
I think if the price is right, I'm going to get him. Like the fact that he fell here I actually considered taking Malik Neighbors there in the third round, because I think that's actually the sensible place of where he should go at this point. I mean, yes, he's dealing with the knee and he's dealing with the recovery, but think about this. I mean, let's just say he misses the first 3 games of the season. Do you still want 14 games of a healthy Malik Neighbors, target monster Malik Neighbors? Like I would use a late third round pick if I knew that I was going to get or an early third round pick if I knew that that's what I was going to get. You know, I get that there's like certain, question marks that people have, but you have to go in there thinking, man, this dude at full speed, I mean, he's a moneymaker. He really is. So to see him there in the fourth, I'm definitely in. I am definitely in.
I agree. I feel like I have some shares of him already this year. Quinshawn Judkins is another one I'm kind of intrigued by in Cleveland, just because that offensive line play was not good for the running game last year. I think it'll be better this year. They have to get better quarterback play. If that happens, I think Judkins will have improved numbers as well, and he's going to be the workhorse back in that offense too. So he's kind of a guy I'm a little bit intrigued by at this point. And it's really gone receiver heavy right now, Howard. We have Neighbors, DJ Moore, Emeka Egbuka, T. Higgins, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Zay Flowers, Tet McMillan, and then Tootin, the first running back in round 4, was taken right before you. Did he snipe you? Did T Swerve snipe you with that Tootin pick?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I'm kind of looking at some of these running backs, and they're definitely intriguing me. But I think, if I'm starting off the way I've started off here right now, let me just kind of lean into it a little bit. I read some really great stuff about what Lamar Jackson was saying about Declan Doyle and his play calling. And, I definitely think that Lamar is just, he's saying that his mind is blown by the play calling. And I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I would 100% be into Lamar Jackson being excited about his offense. So I think that this is going to be a nice solid year for him. And, if you're going to give me, I'm sitting here, I got Jamar Chase. I've got the number 1 wide receiver. Then I've got a guy who I consider to be a top 10 wide receiver in Nico Collins. And then I've got a player who I think is the last of the bell cows, right? He's going to be the last of the bell cow running backs in Javonte Williams. And now I've got, arguably he's the number 2 quarterback here, and he's going to run the football. So
Howard,
I'm in on that.
You're up again. You're right. You have a nice little core being set up right now with your team. And as always, if anybody has any questions or comments at all, feel free to put them in the chat. There are a lot of people in here watching right now. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. It's been a lot of fun so far in this Fantasy Life Championship draft. $500,000 grand prize. If you want to get in it, go to rtsports.com. And as soon as Howard's done picking, he can tell you how to take advantage of a promo code if you're new to the site. And you can do that. It's good to use when you do these big contests too. So it's just something to do. If you've never done it before, been in one of these big contests, you definitely want to take advantage of Howard's promo code that you can use on there.
I'm really freaking out about this pick. Who am I going to? Where am I going to go here, Jeff?
Time's running out, Howard. 16 seconds. We had Ladd McConkey go right before you, and then Travion Henderson. And then the 2 picks at the end of round 4 were David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. Let's see what Howard does here.
All right, I'm going to jump ADP a little bit here. I'm going to grab myself Chuba Hubbard. I know big fantasies pushing Jonathan Brooks on us all, but you know what? Until I see Jonathan Brooks on the field in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to assume that Chuba Hubbard is still Dave Canales' guy. And while he spared Chuba some extra wear and tear last year by letting it play out with Rico Dowdle. But if you watched as Dowdle kind of faded last season, like Chuba started to get his job back. And I'm totally cool with that. I think that's what Dave Canales likes to do. He likes to go with one running back. We've seen it before. Does this maybe kind of pigeonhole me into handcuffing Chuba? Yeah, it's possible, but I kind of like where I'm at here.
Yeah, it's going to be an intriguing situation to watch, I think, in training camp. Some of these guys and their health and where they stand, like Malik Neighbors, I could see some stock of some of these people going either higher or lower, depending on what we're seeing in camp. But you're right. Right now, it's just unknown with Jonathan Brooks. He hasn't been on the field in 2 years, so it's kind of hard to think you're going to depend on him as a workhorse back at this stage of the game. So I'm good with the Hubbard pick, Howard. I think you did all right there. Like you said,
I will say it took me forever to do it because the 2 guys who I was looking at both went right off the board in front of me, and both Travion Henderson and Ladd McConkey. I had them both sitting in my queue. I was ready to take one of them. I had Travion listed first, and then I was like, okay, so looks like I'm getting McConkey, and then that just kind of went away. So I'm not going to say it was panic, but, a little disappointed.
So do you think Travion is going to get more of the work this year? You feel more comfortable taking him in a weekly start league like this over a best ball one? Because he was erratic last year a little bit, but do you feel more confident in him getting more of that lead back role over Ramondre Stevenson?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's okay. Good. Then I'm not crazy. And there's never been there hasn't been any kind of an indication. And you know what we've seen how how reliable Ramondre was. Yes. All right. Here's the perfect example, and you'll remember this. You remember Chris Carson?
Yes.
So Chris Carson would fumble over and over and over again, and everybody was like, he can't stay as the starting running back. And sure enough, week in, week out, he was the starting running back. And so, you kind of feel like, all right, well, Ramondre, everybody's like, oh, Ramondre is like, just a fumble away from losing his job. I haven't seen it yet. So maybe Travion Henderson spent some time, working on his pass blocking, working on, on that aspect of his game, because I know that is an issue, or it was an issue for him. But yeah, I think the disparity between him and Ramondre in the ADP is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And the way I looked at it was just the way they used him in the playoffs last year. That kind of showed me that they trusted Stevenson more. And then he averaged one of the best yards per carry after contact last year, and 2.8 yards per carry after contact. So I think they like that in New England a little bit. And so I think he's definitely still going to be a factor all season long. And that's what scares me a little bit about Henderson in a league that I'm starting him on a weekly basis. I think it could be a little up and down. But again, if you're in a contest like this, you are looking for home run hitters to hit in the playoffs. So
right.
It definitely makes sense to take him. But overall, like strategy, let's talk about strategy for this contest as I just touch on that there. Is there any, like you took Lamar Jackson around 4. Is that normally how you're kind of attacking the quarterback spot this year? Or did you just do this because you're in a contest like this and you want an elite quarterback on your roster? Just maybe talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was just kind of, it's not normally what I would do. I've been waiting a little bit further in for the quarterbacks. But because this is a tournament, and also, again, not having, one of the top running backs who I always love having, guys like that. I get, some running back work here. Like it's like having a quarterback and half a running back on your roster as opposed to just a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that was at least the mindset there. But no, typically I think I'd probably wait. Again, this is the first draft that I've done where I'm like, now I got to start thinking about, making moves and making, guys who I need to start week in and week out.
I used to really be a weighted all costs guy at the quarterback position, but I've kind of changed my thinking on that a little bit. And I mean, if you can get a guy like Lamar or Josh Allen at the right price and just not have to worry about that position at all and get elite production on a weekly basis, it's definitely a plus if you can build your draft good around it. So I've come around that way of thinking a little more than I used to. I think this year, I mean, quarterback is crazy deep. What worries me a little bit, though, is if you wait on it in a league and you have to try to decide between two players on a weekly basis, it could get tough. I mean, you pick the wrong guy any given week and it can cost you a game. So that's the only downside I really see in, really waiting on the QB position. But, man, it is deep this year. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like it's really
it's definitely deep because you've got the rushing quarterbacks, right? Look, Jaden Daniels just off the board there. Listen, that's, by the way, seeing Joe Burrow as the third QB off the board, I thought that was kind of interesting there to see it. I mean, he paired him up with T. Higgins. So, I mean, that's just, the way. And that's one of the things also, because I was thinking, I was like, you look at like certain ADP of guys, and a guy like Joe Burrow kind of stands out when somebody's drafting in a best ball league and they end up with Jamar Chase. They tend to raise the ADP of Joe Burrow because they want to make sure that they get that stack.
Yeah.
That little pairing there. And so I was like, all right, who are the guys that are going to, drop? And I kind of figured he would be a guy who I dropped. I mean, as somebody who took Jamar Chase number one, I would have to just at least kind of entertain the thought of that happening there. But, again, Lamar, adding the rushing aspect to the game, and just given the other players who were around there at the time, I think that was the right decision. Oh, Tyler Warren. I was eyeballing a little Tyler Warren there. I'm not gonna lie. I was eyeballing him.
A lot of receptions up for grab with Pittman gone there. I do like Warren have take a step forward this year. I think he's going to be an intriguing player. A couple other guys I like at receiver there. I won't mention them at this point because they haven't been picked yet. But I'll go over this fifth round real quick because your pick's coming up. Travion Henderson went in the first pick of first pick of the fifth round. Then Ladd McConkey. Howard took Chuba Hubbard. His pick's up right now as well. And then Jalen Waddle went. Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Jamison Williams, Bucky Irving, Joe Burrow, Mike Evans, Jadarian Price, and Devontae Adams, last pick in round 5. And then to start round 6, we have Brian Thomas, Jalen Warren, Rome Odunze, Rico Dowdle, Jaden Daniels, Carnell Tate, Tyler Warren, Christian Watson, and Kyle Monangai. We have, let's see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams all have running backs and receivers at this point. So that's kind of intriguing. Howard just took Wan'Dale Robinson. Carnell Tate went in this round as well. Talk to me about that Robinson pick, Howard.
I mean, he's going to be such a reliable high floor guy. If you're sitting there in a PPR format, I've got these explosive players in Chase and Collins, Wan'Dale Robinson in Brian Daboll's offense was seeing 140, 150 targets. If you're going to go and you're going to take over a team like, and take over an offense like Daboll is doing in Tennessee, right? He wants to help his quarterback as much as possible. So you want to build your quarterback's confidence. You want to increase that completion percentage. You want to be able to have a reliable guy there who's going to steadily move the chains for you. And, and I think Daboll is going to just kind of say, lean on Wan'Dale Robinson. He is going to be there for you. And I think that he's just going to have a very high floor for a PPR format. And, my other guys can be the explosive ones.
This is the round of the Tennessee Titans. We have Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson, then Tony Pollard. Let's see if Nerd goes ahead and he takes Cam Ward with his. No, he's not. He's not going to take Cam Ward. It was interesting. Someone brought up in the chat that Garrett Wilson in the fifth is kind of ridiculous. I mean, he's really fallen. What's your thoughts on Garrett Wilson? You think he's going to have a rebound year? He's one of your Jets. Do you think you can get it going again with Geno Smith there?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I'm not going to say no to it. I just, I'm not like I'm just not a huge believer in Geno Smith. And I don't care about his personal issues that are going on right now, but because I actually worry that like Geno Smith is going to, crap the bed and maybe he sits a little bit. Right? Maybe he's not the starting quarterback the entire time. Maybe that Klubnik kid actually, get some playing time here, because you got to think that if things don't go right for the Jets, there's going to be a relatively quick hook, because Aaron Glenn knows that his job's on the line. Frank Reich knows his job's on the line. So I think that's, just something to kind of pay attention to for sure.
Someone had a good question in the chat too. They said, Howard, do you feel there is a 2-round difference between Burden and Odunze? It's an interesting question. Do you think they should be that far apart? Your pick's up right now. You can take your pick and then answer that. But right before you, Howard, we had Drake May and then Parker Washington. So the Nerd team did take a QB. They went Drake May. Then Parker Washington goes in round 7 to Mini-Me, and now Howard's up. He has Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Javonte Williams, Lamar Jackson, Chuba Hubbard, and Wan'Dale Robinson. So 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and a QB for Howard right now. Let's see what he does now.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Uh-oh. Kyle Pitts.
Come on, they paid this dude money. 3-year, $54 million contract. And I don't think that the Falcons are really, I don't think they're looking to bring in a Keenan Allen or a Brandon Ayuk or a Stephon Diggs. There's really no free agent out there. So I think when you kind of look at this, and how Stefanski likes to utilize his tight end. Stefanski made David Njoku, when he was in Cleveland. So I kind of look at that situation as you've got Drake London, and then who's going to be second in targets on that team? Is it going to be Olamide Zaccheaus? Is it going to be Jahan Dotson? No. I mean, you've got to turn Kyle Pitts into that big slot tight end that you need, right? Like you use him as a tight end, you deploy him as a tight end, you go into 3 receiver sets, you throw Charlie Wohler on the line as the inline blocker, and you line Kyle Pitts up in the slot. I think it's almost a no-brainer, and I've seen Stefanski do that for tons of times with David Njoku. So I'm kind of leaning on that. It's this could be the year. Finally, everybody's like, "Oh, when's the breakout coming?" I mean, he finished up. He was like what tight end? He was a top 5 tight end last year.
He was, and he got pretty putrid quarterback play much of the year. That's my next question. Who do you think is going to start there? Is it going to be Tua or Penix? I feel like everybody's kind of penciling in Tua. Is that what you feel like?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's going to be Tua.
Okay.
I do. I don't know. I just don't necessarily know if Penix is ready physically to do it. I mean, we'll see a quarterback. Tua would have to really screw up, or Penix would really have to shine bright during training camp, I think, for them. Because, Tua is there for, full OTAs, and, like that's key time with everybody on the field. You're kind of trying to fine tune it, and then you're like, okay, now let's go put some pads on. And so Penix doesn't have that, all right, let's go put some pads on now. And I think that's going to it's going to lean everything in favor to Tua.
Kind of intrigues me both Drake London and Pitts because of that. Because, like I mentioned, I didn't think the quarterback play was good at all last year, and those guys still were great for fantasy teams. So if it improves, just a little, and Stefanski's a plus for that offense, both those guys are kind of some players I think could have big seasons. So I know you're hoping that with Pitts with this pick. that you had in round 7. We've had 3 tight ends go off the board in this round. Pitts, Fannin, and Kraft. Tucker Kraft goes. Man, I don't know. I mean, high upside guy, weekly, high ceiling on a weekly basis. I don't know if I'm going round 7 for him though. How about you?
Yeah, I've never really been. I get it, right? He's been a good focal point of the offense, at least before he got hurt. He was, but yeah, there's just something about him in the sense that I just don't know if he's really the guy that they want to lean on during passing attacks, like that. They finally they cleaned house on some of the receivers. You get rid of
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs is gone, so now you've got Christian Watson on one side. You got Jaden Reed, and then you can bring in Matthew Golden, and either Golden or Reed can play the slot for 3 receiver sets. And I think that they're good in that sense. Now, if Golden doesn't step up and really become the receiver that they wanted, that they thought he would blossom into, then Kraft will probably see a few extra targets here and there. But also, I mean, again, he's also coming back from a bad knee injury too.
Do you still? I know you mentioned they kind of cleaned house. Do you still have any trust in these Packers receivers? I don't know. For me, it still has to be kind of the price is right. I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, it's not a group I seek out.
Yeah.
I'm okay taking Christian Watson, at ADP or if he falls a little bit. I really like Jaden Reed. I thought Jaden Reed, when they paid Jaden Reed, I was like, okay, now here we go. You're showing him the money. You're going to give him more targets. He's going to do more than just 60% snap share and get some gadget plays. I was thinking that. And then they gave Watson, I don't even know, over 100 million.
It was a lot, yeah.
It was crazy. So I got a little bit lukewarm on that aspect there because it's an indicator. But I don't. It's a run first offense there. That's what LaFleur likes to do. He likes to run the football. So I don't really see huge breakout wide receiver performances for anybody. Sure, you'll get your occasional stuff, but I don't really know. Can I just tell you, by the way, Fozzie on the end there, I hate to, continuously compliment him. I was talking about him on Sirius XM, and then he hit me up in the chat on a best ball that we were doing. He was like, "Hey, thanks for the shout out." I'm like, "Damn, he heard all that. I'm going to be competing against him. I don't want him to hear all that. I don't want to hear the praise." Fozzie. But I really love those last 3 picks. Brian Thomas Jr., Sam Laporta, Trevor Lawrence. It gives you that Jaguars Lawrence Thomas stack. Sam Laporta, I mean, who's his offensive coordinator right now? Drew Petzing. Where did Drew Petzing come from? Arizona. Did Arizona have a tight end who got a lot of targets?
He got a few last year.
I can't remember.
Yeah, just a couple.
I mean, I dig that whole thing. And Trevor Lawrence's comments that he and Brian Thomas apparently, I don't know, like hit Nirvana together on the field, and now all of a sudden they're like, having like this crazy little like OTA bromance or mini camp bromance.
Yeah, I'm really kind of intrigued by Brian Thomas just because his price tag's gone down so much, and he's kind of a good buy low candidate in my eyes. Because Jacoby Myers, I feel like his numbers were good last year when he went to Jacksonville, but I feel like they were kind of inflated a little bit. He didn't get quite the chances that you would hope from a number 1 receiver, and Parker Washington kind of was that guy still. So I think I'd rather have Washington and Brian Thomas at this point over Jacoby Myers. I trust both those guys a little bit more in that offense, and I think Thomas could have a good rebound season this year.
I completely agree with every statement that you just made. I do. I really do. I saw it and I was like, oh, I really did like that. I was very, very happy to see that happen. Yeah. Wow.
In round 7 there, Blake Corum will do it live. He took Blake Corum in round 7. I think that might be the soonest I've seen him go. Have you seen him go that?
Maybe, I don't know. A lot of news today crept out saying that Blake Corum was going to be in a 50-50 share with Kyren Williams, but Kyren Williams being the superior pass blocker, would probably see the greater share of the reps. But then somebody said that Blake Corum started improving his pass blocking. So, there's I don't know, there's a constant churn here where
Yeah. Take it all with a little bit of a grain of salt, in my opinion.
exactly.
Someone mentioned in the chat that both the Colts wide receivers are talking about earlier, and I didn't mention him, were picked. And he's right. Alec Pierce went in round 7, and then Josh Downs in round 8. I like both those guys. I'm kind of intrigued by Downs. I think he could really rack up some catches this year. And I think he's going to be a good replacement for Michael Pittman, getting a lot of that underneath work and stuff like that. Pierce does great stretching the field, though. So if he can get more targets overall and, improve in that area, not just be that big play threat, he's another guy that kind of intrigues me too. But you do have to worry about Daniel Jones a little bit. That's the caveat, in my opinion, because he's coming back from a torn Achilles, and I just don't know if I totally trust him still, even after last year. Now he's coming off a big injury.
That's definitely sorry. Gainwell goes to Krish. That's a bummer. That's a little bit of a bummer.
There?
What's that?
You were looking at Gainwell there at that point?
I was looking at Kenneth Gainwell there. Listen, I think that it's they got rid of Rachaad White to pay more money for a better version, right? In Kenneth Gainwell. It's Zach Robinson coming over from Atlanta. He's a McVay guy, but he's like a pass happy McVay guy. So that one hurts. And that means that if that's the case here, I'm just going to do this as a safety precaution and take Jonathan Brooks now and just handcuff it rather than see somebody turn around and snipe him from under me.
I think that's a good move, especially at that point, because I think you still got him for about around where his ADP is. So I don't think you overpaid for him, and then you've sewn up that Panthers backfield. So that's good work there, Howard. You have your core team set there. Lamar Jackson's your starting quarterback. Then you have Javonte Williams, and then Hubbard or Brooks as that number 2 back. And then at receiver, you have Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, and Wan'Dale Robinson probably as your flex, with Kyle Pitts as your starting tight end. Do you like that?
I do like that. I'm trying to figure out who would be, because obviously Brooks is in my flex spot now, but where am I going to go? This is it's kind of a bummer. This is one of the reasons why I don't like skipping out on running backs early. It's one of the reasons why I don't like it, because I feel unprotected. I feel naked.
Yeah.
Look at that. Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert
back-to-back QBs in round 8 and 9 for the mini-me team. So he waited on the position, then went twice with 2 pretty good options. So he could have some tough decisions on a weekly basis. His core team, he has Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery as his 2 backs. So that old Detroit backfield is his backfield. And he has Pickens, Ladd McConkey at receiver, Trey McBride at tight end, and then Prescott at Herbert at QB. You go Jordan Mason. This is one of the guys I like a little bit this year. So I think he's another guy that looked really good after contact. They didn't have much good offensive line play in Minnesota, and I think some of that is because the QB play was so bad. So teams kind of dared him to throw the ball. So Jordan Mason kind of intrigued me. I just don't think Aaron Jones has much left in the tank, and Mason kind of profiles well for me a little bit to have a possible breakout year. Is that what you're hoping for?
That's exactly what I'm hoping for. I mean, listen, I love Aaron Jones, and I had him on fantasy teams in the past, but the time has come. The only upsetting thing, for me here with Jordan Mason is just in the sense that, nobody ever throws to him. Nobody ever throws to him. They didn't throw to him at all when he was in San Francisco. And so I feel like, he's going to be great, and he's going to get some decent volume, but he is going to be off the field. Once you're if you find yourself in the 2-minute drill, right? I mean, and he's not on the field, that's kind of a bummer. You want guys that are going to be on the field in the 2-minute drill as a pass catching running back. And, that's the one thing that Mason really doesn't have in his game. But again, if no Aaron Jones, even greater volume. And listen, let's between Kyler Murray and what do you think of that quarterback situation? Like that's actually kind of cool. I always hear, like, I talk to Andrew Cooper and he's all in love with Kyler Murray. I speak to other people. Everybody says Kyler Murray. Is there no shot at all at JJ McCarthy earning this job? Is there, could we have some sort of a quarterback controversy here?
I don't think so, just because of how bad at times McCarthy was last year. It just seemed like it really, upset Justin Jefferson a little bit with all the open passes he misses. So I think they're going to let Murray at least open and start with it. And maybe if he struggles some, then JJ McCarthy gets a shot. But I think it's definitely going to be Kyler Murray's chance, at least to start the year. And if he plays well, he'll keep that job. But if he has any struggles, I could see them maybe going to JJ McCarthy. But I like Murray there as an upgrade to McCarthy. And I think that's a big positive for Justin Jefferson in that entire passing game as well. So hopefully things are better for Jefferson this year. I think he could be set up for a good rebound season with Kyler Murray throwing him the ball, in my opinion. So Jackson Dart goes this round. What's your thoughts on him, Howard? I know he just plays kind of reckless, and now he has a new offensive coordinator, but man, the potential definitely is there. What's your thoughts on Jackson Dart? You taking any chances on him this year?
Yeah, actually, I've drafted him a bunch in some best balls. So, I mean, listen, he ran 85 times last year, and I mean, he played 14 games. He says he's not going to change his style. I know the Giants don't want him to change his style. Maybe they want him to, be a little smarter at times, but overall, you draft a guy for a set of skills, and that's what you want to see him thrive off of, right? Like, I remember when, RG3 hurt his knee, and they were like, all right, well, we're going to just turn you into a pocket passer. And it was a disaster. So, Jackson Dart getting concussions and stuff like that. Are we going to be worried about him? Maybe a little bit, but I think that if you've got a guy who's going to run the football 4 to 6 times per game, and that's a pretty conservative average there, like, I think that is that's a huge boost to a player's floor. And
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how, whether or not he's a great passer. He can give me 185 yards and a touchdown, right? As long as I know that he's also going to give me 60 yards and a touchdown.
I agree. He played just 12 games his rookie season, 13th overall in fantasy running back scoring, and that team around him was not very good. So I know they added a bunch of kind of ragtag pieces to the receiver core, and Neighbors is banged up, but I still think the receiver core is going to be better with those options they have this year, and they have Isaiah Likely too. I think that's a good addition, and Harbaugh should be a positive for Jackson Dart too. He did well with having Lamar Jackson post some big fantasy seasons. Jackson Dart's not Lamar Jackson, don't get me wrong, but he kind of profiles to do some of the same things as him. So I am intrigued by him. I hope he can stay healthy. He's an exciting young player, and I hope those receivers give him some good options in the passing game on a weekly basis. I'm kind of intrigued by him for this coming year. Let's go over some of these picks now that were just taken. So Zach Charbonnet goes in round 10, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Dalton Kincaid, Matthew Stafford. So Rachaad White goes before Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I think that's one of the questions a lot of fantasy owners have now right now is who's going to be the lead back in that backfield. Do you think it's good going White ahead of Krosky Merritt, or do you think Krosky Merritt's going to be the guy to own in that backfield?
I don't know. I mean, he really he had some shining moments, and then he also looked kind of blah at some moments. Now, I'm not a big fan of Rachaad White. If you watched him with Tampa Bay, you knew that it was just a matter of time before he lost his job because he's just not an efficient runner.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't do well with yards after contact, and you watched him struggle, at times. So, and the fact that Tampa Bay was like, all right, we're ready to let you go, and then we're still going to go pay some more money to have somebody do your job. Like, you weren't good enough. We're going to have to go out and we're going to have to buy ourselves somebody, and they take Gainwell. So, I don't really have much of a thought on him, but Krosky Merritt, I mean, what's Bill done for us? He hasn't,
Yeah. He's been up and down. You're right. I feel like they tried to give him every opportunity to just run with that job last year, and he didn't do it. Like you said, he showed flashes of time. He actually made some plays after contact too. I think he averaged 2.1 yards per carry after contact, broke 13 tackles. So he just wasn't, a speed back. He showed some potential there, but you're right. He was just kind of up and down. I don't know what I want. I liked White a few weeks ago when you could get him a lot later. Now I feel like he's getting pushed off the draft board a little bit, so that makes me a little more scared of him. We're seeing a lot of QBs go this round. We had Stafford go at the start of round 10, then Kyler Murray, we were just talking about him, went as the second QB to Rock'em Sock'em, and then the dog took Brock Purdy. That's his number one, and then T-Swerve took Patrick Mahomes in round 10. Kind of some interesting QB builds. We had several teams with two on their roster before some teams had one. So everybody's attacking this position different. We kind of talked about that earlier in the show. All sorts of different ways to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm taking a guy like Lamar Jackson, the only reason I would take another QB, a second QB, like these other guys have, right? Like Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, or, even Jaden Daniels and Kyler Murray. I mean, I get it. Daniels, you could still have a question mark there, but, when you take those guys, you're just, you're either going to make decisions week in, week out and switch these guys out. I'm just put Lamar in there. If I'm going to take him out, he better be dead or something like that. So I'm not worried about that. I don't want to have to make those decisions. I don't want to have to sit there, and do it. I'm not sure. I guess, I guess Fozzie Dog at the end wanted another pairing and took Stafford and figured, okay, if I got Stafford and Adams there, and I've got Lawrence and Brian Thomas, then I'm comfortable there, and I've got pairings for that. Otherwise, yeah, again, I don't want to be playing matchups here with my QBs. So let me have my guys.
I agree, and if you're going to use high draft capital on a QB, I'm definitely going to wait, especially in a format like this. You're on the clock again, Howard, so I'll let you make your pick.
Yeah, that again, Jalen Naylor right in front of me there. This Michael dude's he's in my kitchen, Jeff. He's in my kitchen.
You took Jaden Reed with your last pick. We were talking about him a little bit, and I do like him the most out of those options at receiver and tight end for Green Bay. I think he could rack up the catches possibly this year. So I like that pick for you, and now you're up. Now you could go several different ways at this point. You're just trying to fill some depth, or you could be the first person to take a kicker, Howard. You can go ahead and shock the world. You could shock the world.
Oh, for crying out loud. You're on to me. I'll take some Jalen Coker, right? I mean, you kind of look at it. He's got to be the number 2 opposite Teteroa McMillan.
Yep.
I mean, I don't really know as far as like Carolina goes, where else they're going to, turn. They don't have a tight end that they throw to a bunch, right? Jatavian Sanders or Tommy Tremble. I know they drafted Chris Brazel, but, I think like him and like Xavier Legette are kind of the same guy. I think Coker can work the outside, but I think he can also, when they move into a 3 receiver set, can just kind of move into the slot. So I think he's in a pretty good spot over there.
Yeah, he showed some big game potential last year as well, and he's just filling a bench spot for you. You're hoping to get, maybe a couple games out of him, and hopefully you pick the right time to play him. So that's a fine spot to take him. I like Naylor too. You said he just went the pick before you. Kind of intrigued me just because I don't know who's going to catch balls outside of Brock Bowers in that offense. So Naylor is one guy that I think is definitely worth the dart throw in round 11. He's kind of an intriguing pick by the mini team.
I mean, and that's the thing. That's kind of what we're sitting here and we're sorting out right now, right? Like everybody's just assuming here that Brandon Ayuk's going to go to the Commanders or Stephon Diggs is going to go to the Commanders, right? I don't necessarily know if that's actually the case. What I do know is that there's been no link to the Raiders bringing anybody else in. And there's actually reports saying that the Raiders coaches love their receiver room. So if you're paying a guy like Jalen Naylor to come in, right? And he's got a connection with Kirk Cousins, right? I think they played together for a year or so. It's him, it's Trey Tucker, and then who is it? Jack Besh.
Yeah.
So you got to figure Bauer's going to be the number one target, but Naylor's going to end up seeing you didn't bring this guy in not to throw him the football. He's not here because he's a good blocker downfield.
You mentioned Brandon Ayuk. What the heck was that video today? What is happening? I don't understand. This guy, he's coming off a great season, and then he just went off the deep end. I feel like he threw away millions and millions of dollars. I don't know what is happening. That guy is that's one of the more baffling things.
Would it surprise you in the least if Brandon Ayuk signed with a team and then in week 1 decided he was going to strip down and dance off the field?
It would not surprise me one bit. That's just craziness, pure crazy. That's the life of an NFL receiver. You never know what you're going to get with some of those guys.
You legit never know what you're going to get. Yeah, I don't know. It was like he was like pulling out. He was throwing stacks of money out of a backpack, and throwing it on the floor to like symbolize that this is all the money that San Francisco wasted on me, and blah blah blah, and and then I'll sign with the committee. I don't even know. Like that. That's falling out of the crazy tree and maybe hitting a branch or two on the way down.
Like my other thought was he the one sitting out, or did the 49ers just tell him not to come out? I still don't understand that either. I don't even know what happened there last year. It's really confusing to me. I don't get it. I would just stay away from that guy.
I think there's something a little screwy with him, that like the 49ers are like, all right, this is not what we want. We did not sign up for this.
So we're getting a lot of, running backs with some possible upside. Jonah Coleman, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Tajay Spears, Chris Rodriguez, Alvin Kamara still on a roster right now. Woody Marks went too. Any of those guys do anything for you?
No, but Mark Andrews sure does.
Yeah, I am intrigued by Andrews this year too, with Isaiah likely gone. New offense.
He would have gone nicely with Lamar Jackson too, wouldn't he have?
He would have.
Oh, there goes Chigakonkwo.
Uh-oh.
Joe Jacoby.
What about Pacheco? Do you think he's going to do anything in his new landing spot? Do you think David Montgomery is huge in that role. He's not David Montgomery by any means. So I don't know if he's going to live up to what Montgomery did, but do you have any hope for Pacheco at all to get things going in Detroit?
I actually don't.
Okay.
I actually don't. You know what I mean? It's not that I dislike the guy. I just think that he's a poor man's David Montgomery, right? You're not grabbing him for his pass catching abilities. You're getting him to, be a plotter between the tackles. He's okay. He's just not. There's nothing that really dazzles you. I mean, and if you look at what Drew Petzing has done over the last couple of seasons, granted he's been dealing with a lot of injuries to his running backs. He's going to end up utilizing Jahmyr Gibbs a lot more. I think Pacheco will be, that weird. What a holy tight end run here.
I know.
Jeez Louise.
Got Mark Andrews, Chigakonkwo, Dallas Goedert, and then Rock'em Sock'em. He was the last team that did not have a tight end on his roster. He took Brenton Strange, who just signed a contract extension with Jacksonville.
Which, can I tell you, I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah. They drafted a tight end this year.
They drafted 2 tight ends this year, one of whom in the second round was just nothing more than a blocking tight end. You know what makes me nervous? There's the first kicker off the board.
There you go.
Yeah, I tell you this is what makes me nervous.
Okay.
They draft tight ends. Liam Cohen is a Sean McVay disciple. Oh, there you go. First defense off the board too. Right. So Liam Cohen, has been running Sean McVay's offense, and we loved on that. Oh, I'm on the clock now. Oh, for crying out loud.
I think I have an idea what you might say, because Sean McVay had a history of, he loves to rotate those tight ends in and out, and now he has.
Well, now, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's got, he's like the master of 13 personnel last year. We saw that happen. So now I kind of look at that and I'm like, is Liam Cohen thinking about, doing something like that? Would Liam Cohen kind of consider that? And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I don't think I have any shares of Brenton Strange this year because of that. It did kind of give me some encouragement that they signed him to that deal, so maybe they're thinking something bigger for him, but who knows? But you're right. It kind of scares me when they took those tight ends in the draft and then Cohen's pedigree as well. Howard, you just took Trey Tucker, so you went with the Raiders' possible number.
The other Raider receiver,
Yeah.
who should get some work. Absolutely. But you know what it is? It's not even so much that I don't like Brenton Strange. I just think that, when you bring in, if Liam Cohen does do that, right, and he starts using more tight ends, was there anything more annoying for the value of Colby Parkinson than watching Terrence Ferguson or Tyler Higbee see snaps and touches, like a three-headed monster at tight end? When you start using 13 personnel and any one of them can catch the pass, it kind of screws that guy out of value. So not only are you now screwing Brenton Strange out of value, if you're going to use multiple tight end sets, that's two receivers.
Yeah.
Right. So who's on the field now? Does Parker Washington lose snaps out of the slot? Does Jacoby Myers lose snaps on the outside? Like somebody's, it depends on what Liam Cohen's doing with his offensive scheme now. Because if he's copying McVay from last year and doing those multiple tight end sets, you're going to see a receiver get, lose snaps, and you're going to see tight ends lose value because they're all sharing the work. And that's a bit worrisome. I'm not going to lie.
So the first team nerd, he took Bijan Robinson, and now he just handcuffed him with Brian Robinson in round 12. You still feel good about the handcuff? Do you still like to follow that at all, or is it just something you think is kind of overblown?
I did it, right? I took Jonathan Brooks.
You did.
in the 8th round. I'm a handcuff guy.
All right.
I think it's where you want to be. I think you definitely want to, make sure that you just stay protected. You got to stay protected. His tight end positions really dried up too.
It did. There's got to be some, not our site, you would never do it, but you got B. Robinson for Atlanta. I mean, you got two of them now. There's going to be some site out there. Somebody is going to they're going to take Brian Robinson with the first pick by accident.
Someone's going to oopsie daisy that pick.
Someone's going to do it. Howard, you're up again. Yeah, you're right. The tight end position definitely is dried up. I did not realize that Bo Nix had not been taken yet. He goes in round 12 to the T-Swerve team who took Mahomes with his first pick. Now, I like that because Mahomes, I think he'll be ready for week 1, but if he's not, then T-Swerve has Bo Nix there as his number 2. So that's probably a situation where I like going, waiting on a QB and then taking 2 kind of back-to-back there. I think that makes sense. Let's see what you do here now, Howard.
I'm dying, man. I'm dying with this pick. I don't know who I'm going to take.
Some good drafters in this draft.
Some really good drafters. So I'm going to take a chance on this wide receiver here, little rookie, and see what Zachariah Branch has to offer. Again, I was cracking on Olamide Zaccheaus and Jahan Dotson are those going to be really options there for the Falcons? Maybe Zachariah Branch can carve himself a little bit of a role here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good dart throw. I like Branch, and I like Malachi Fields too. I feel like they're kind of similar in similar situations where they could emerge as the starter as a rookie in both their situations. Those are 2 guys that I'm taking some chances on there later in drafts. So no problem at all with that pick, Howard. No problem at all.
I kind of have some problems with it. I do. Listen, I like the way that this is going. I do like my team a lot. It's just this is not really a team that I would really normally put together. And maybe that's the strategy, right? We used to always be running back heavy. Then 0 RB started to become all the rage. And everybody was all about the wide receivers, and all the masses then went to the wide receivers. And once all the masses went back to the wide receivers, those of us who stayed heavy with the running backs, we came back out on top again and in recent seasons. So if now everybody's going in on the running backs, maybe this is the year of the wide receiver again, Jeff. Maybe.
It might be. So we had 2 comments in the chat I meant to touch on earlier. Someone asked if it's invite only for this draft. It is not. So we will normally, if we do something like this, we post it on X, or we actually sent out an email. RealTime Fantasy Sports did. So if you're a member on our site, if you have an account on our site, you would have gotten an email saying we're going to do this live stream and you can sign up for the draft. So it is definitely open to the public. Anybody can sign up to get in this draft. So I will let you know. Just follow my account on X to do that. It's at Jeff Paur, JeffPaur. And then the second question was actually one I was going to ask you, because Aranda Gadsden just went. Someone asked, how do you rank the Chargers tight ends? I had high hopes for Gadsden before the signing of Njoku, and I totally agree with him. I was the same way. I was really feeling good about Gadsden. Then they signed Njoku, and now I'm a little skeptical of the whole situation. You're the tight end whisperer. You cleared up for me.
There was a video that I put out talking about how Aranda Gadsden was going to be the tight end that you wanted. I said, don't take Brock Bowers and don't take Trey McBride. You can get that kind of production, or you're going to get that kind of production, because and then you start to talk about, right, Mike McDaniel and what he did for George Kittle and what he did for Jonnu Smith. And so, if you know the offensive scheme that McDaniel likes to run, it makes that tight end position just so absolutely spectacular. And as I'm sitting there hyping Gadsden, I've got a little birdie chirping in my ear being like, hey, he was only a 5th round pick. If the Chargers wanted to, this was like draft day. They're like, if they get Kenyon Sadiq, they'll take him because he's just a better player than Gadsden. They didn't invest a lot in Gadsden. And, I thought I escaped everything during the draft, and then they turned around and they signed Njoku. And that kind of, that worries me there a little bit. It really does. I think that, unfortunately, I think the two of them split reps fairly evenly, because, the team also, they signed Charlie Kohler, and he's the inline blocking tight end. So even if you're going to do 2 tight end sets, it's not going to be Gadsden and Njoku. It's going to be Charlie Kohler and one of those guys. So I think that it starts off. I think Njoku has the slight edge, being the veteran who has done this job before. And then I think Gadsden is a close second. So
I'm kind of the same way right now, because I feel like you can get Njoku later too. So I would hesitate towards maybe going with him first if I had the choice of the two. But I'm like you. I really would have enjoyed to see Gadsden as the clear number 1 tight end in that Mike McDaniel's offense, but not going to happen. I guess we're going to have to wait another year for that. So we're seeing we're seeing two defenses went, and then a kicker went also. So I feel like when you watch these drafts, which I have done plenty of times, that the the kicker and the defense position gets picked a little sooner by some teams. Do you follow along with that at all? Do you understand why teams do it, or is it still a position you're just waiting on?
Why teams do what? What, defense?
They defense and kicker, I feel like, are picked a little earlier in the FLC than other drafts. Do you do that? Do you have any? Would you do that at all, or is it still a position you're just waiting on until the end?
Typically I just kind of wait on it, right? I don't really feel like it's a huge need, because defensive scoring, and what happens when people just start streaming defenses? They're just looking, they're just trying to find the defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can kind of play a little bit of roulette there with that. I don't know if this is like a crew that I want to play that roulette with. Right. I mean, in all honesty, it's a tough spot to be when you're these. As far as kicking goes, I'm a little bit more like, I'll just wait and see who's there. Because, even if you're talking about a kicker on a bad team, right? They're probably going to kick more field goals anyway. Maybe there's more opportunity, on that front.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I get it a little bit because I think people want to leave the draft in a championship one like this and say, "Hey, I got the number one defense, I got the number one kicker, and I got I got the number one at every position." But I still don't know if I'm using a 12th round pick on a kicker or defense. I think it can be better served getting some better depth to their team. There's still some good options out there. It seems like there's a ton of rookies getting picked right now. You took Zachariah Branch in round 13. We also had Kenyon Sadiq, Emmett Johnson, Amar Cooper Jr., Denzel Boston. That rounded out round 13. Then we had Malachi Fields. He went as well, and Nicholas Singleton. So a lot of rookies getting taken at this point. I think it's always intriguing to see when these rookies are picked because there's still some uncertainty surrounding a lot of them at this point of the game.
There's it just really wasn't it wasn't a particularly sexy rookie class, was it?
It wasn't.
Right?
No.
Like, I mean, everybody, we like Jeremiah Love. And I think everybody's kind of elevated Jadarian Price simply just, because he's probably the best option in town right now in Seattle, but he was still the backup. He was playing behind, Jeremiah Love. So I mean,
you don't really know.
We see everything that he is capable of. Can he shoulder the full workload, stuff like that? Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this because I was actually, when you were like, you wouldn't take a defense here, would you, Howard? And I'm eyeballing the Rams defense, and the dog took them. So you know what? I'm actually going to do something here, and I'm going to take a defense early. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. I love the Denver Broncos defense, but I also love the fact that it's got that nice week 10 bye. I'm not going to have to screw around with fab dollars, for my defense. I
should know this already, but I don't. There's last year, I can't remember who it was. I think it was actually, it might have been Arizona, but there was some defense that everybody was taking in drafts because they had the great schedule to start the season.
It was Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, okay. So who's that this year? Who's the defense this year that has that schedule? I don't know.
I don't even know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
I don't even know. That's a good. You know what? That's a good pull. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I remember that last year. So I see you took Greg Dulcich. Is he going to lead Miami in targets? He very well could. That receiver core is horrific.
I mean, and here's the thing, Miami, they just they freed up all that money, Bradley Chubb came off the books, and they freed up all this money, but then they had to take most of the money that they got back and pay their rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not bringing anybody else in. I mean, or they don't have the money to bring somebody in. And they don't want a head case like Ayuk, and they don't really want a head case bring Stephon Diggs down there as well. I do think there's the potential that maybe Keenan Allen could end up somewhere there, but I think that you've got Malik Washington and Greg Dulcich as your top two targets here. Now, I don't think Malik Willis can throw the ball very well.
Yeah.
So that is a huge concern. But if I've got a tight end who's got the capability of being, getting the second most targets on the team. I mean, even if Malik Willis throws the football 12 times, right? And Dulcich will get, 4 targets, maybe. I'd be okay with that as a backup.
I was intrigued by Malik Willis, depending on his landing spot, but I really feel like Green Bay was a great fit for his skill set. That offense was. So I'm not sure how it's going to translate somewhere else. He showed well at just a few flashes. He was out there, and it's good to see him because he can run the ball, like you mentioned with Jackson Dart. When you can get those rushing yards, that really is a big plus. But, man, these options in the passing game for him to work with is really kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
terrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible group of receivers. It's a horrible group.
A lot of dart throw running backs getting picked now. Jadon Blue went round 15. Dylan Sampson, Kalen Black, Damon Claiborne, Emmanuel Wilson, and Jalen Wright. Wonder how many of these guys are going to be on rosters by the time the season's over with. Travis Hunter goes in round 15. This was a guy getting taken a lot earlier last year. I'm kind of out on him at this point. I don't know about you, but I don't think I want to take any chances on Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, like I was just saying, also, I mean, you depending on what kind of packages you're going to run in Jacksonville, there's no room for Travis Hunter.
That's true.
There's legit no room for him, anywhere. You've got Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas Jr. And now you've got Brenton Strange, and it's not a Brickenbracker. It's the other one who's the pass catching tight end over there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening there, dude. Fozzie, I like Fozzie's team. Look at this.
Got Mike Washington. That was one guy I was really kind of intrigued by coming out of college there, and he ends up in a poor situation for playing time his rookie year. Kind of stinks, but
I'll say this. Clint Kubiak did make mention of the fact that he liked having both Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker in the backfield. That he actually liked having two guys. And so that definitely sticks in my mind a little bit. I've taken Mike Washington a bunch of times late in drafts, not for a handcuff purpose or anything like that, but just like again, the evil what if.
I'm the same way. I feel like I have several shares of him in the best ball drafts I've done, just because he's just sitting there, and I feel like he's got a high ceiling if he ever sees the field, because he's a really talented back. So you're right, the what if factor there. Seen some more kickers go off the board in round 16. You got Cameron Dicker, Cam Little. So that's 3 kickers now out of the 12 teams after almost 16 rounds here. We're getting to the slim pickings part of the draft. Any picks you like that you've seen come here recently off the board? You're like, hey, good job. Anything stand out to you, Howard, in these last couple of
Don't make me praise Fozzie
right.
Dog anymore. Oh, wow. Come on. I'm gonna give that dude a big head. He's gonna have a huge ego. He's gonna start calling the fantasy alarm show, right? And talk all sorts of crap my way. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that there have been, again, Jacoby taking the Okonkwo pick late. I thought that was a good one. I don't mind Jalen Wright either. Nice, good, solid handcuff to Devon Achane. I think that's kind of where you want to go. And I don't mind Chris's Dylan Sampson pick either.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, Quinshon Judkins is coming back from. It's a tough injury. It's definitely a tough injury that he was coming back from. So
I like Juwan Johnson too. I feel like he's a little underrated. I know Tyson's there this year now, so he'll probably take some targets, but I just feel like Johnson and Shuck had a pretty good connection there, and you can get Johnson pretty dang cheap. So I think he's a good number 2 tight end to have, and I think that's a good pairing for the Rockham team to put with Strange, because we talked about the question marks we had for him this year. So I kind of like Juwan Johnson a little bit.
I like Juwan Johnson as well. I do. I think, just underrated guy. But I mean, at worst, he's 3rd on that team in targets. So
that's true. Yep.
And we've seen Tyler Shuck air it out. I don't really have huge faith in the Saints being some shutdown team that suddenly they're gonna want to run the ball a bunch more. I don't really see that happening.
You put your money where your mouth was, Howard, and you took Njoku because you said you kind of liked him more than Gadsden for playing time. You ended up taking him as your tight end number 2 there, or that's your 3rd tight end.
Actually, my 3rd tight end. Yeah, I know. It's just, dude, what's sitting on the board right now? It's a whole lot of yuck. It's pretty grotesque out here. We're doing a lot of speculating.
Yes, we are.
Which you kind of got to do.
Someone was praising Chris's team. Let's look at his team. Said he did a great job. So here's Jackson Smith and Najigba, then Jeremiah Love, Travis Etienne,
and
Ted McMillan, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Harold Fannin, Kenneth Gainwell, Jackson Dart. Actually, yeah, he does have a pretty good team. Pretty solid starters there. Jackson Dart, he gets to pair him with Baker Mayfield too. So if something would happen to Dart, he's got a pretty good backup there in Mayfield. So I agree with the sentiment of the chat there. Chris's team does look pretty dang good right now.
I mean, listen, these guys have been in a bunch of the Beat Howard Bender leagues. Also, like Fozzie's been in there, Joe's been in there. I think Brian, Gridiron Gladiator, that definitely rings a bell. Chris has been in there. So, yeah, it's you guys got a good bunch of fellas over here.
Oh yeah, we got some core owners. They know what they're doing. I believe Russell to Rusty Hammer at the end of the draft. I think he's won one of our big contests. I can't remember for sure, but I know he's one of our top ranked players, so he's a good player as well. So what does it mean, if anything, like since you're a little more familiar with some of these drafters, does it change anything for you when you're drafting, or is it still just kind of status quo for you?
No, it's more status quo because like when you're dealing with seasoned guys like this, you have no idea really. It's always so funny. Like I joke around about it when you see somebody who's in the draft, right? And it's like, they name their team like, Beat HB 17, right? You're like, okay, so now all of a sudden this dude is obviously, this is his 17th draft that he's done in this league. And so you never know who you're drafting against to, where they're just like, they're changing things up completely because they want to alter their exposure.
Yep.
Right. Nobody's drafting out of these big tournaments with the same exact plan over and over again. And so when I'm playing in a draft here against Fozzie and against Joe, right, and against Krish, I can't trust that they're going to do even remotely what they did in the last draft, and I haven't sat there and gone and studied every single draft board that these guys are in to, see, if there are any tendencies or patterns to kind of follow. So I just assume that they're all having great drafts and I'm just swinging right now. I'm just swinging wildly here.
No, I think that's a great point. You're right, though. I've seen a lot of drafts with a lot of these owners you named, and you're right. They do definitely vary them from draft to draft, which is smart on their part. You're right. You're getting these big contests, and you don't want to build the same roster for every team. It wouldn't make any sense. So it definitely is interesting strategies from a lot of these guys from draft to draft. That's a great point, Howard. So we're nearing the end of things here, Howard. We might wrap this up here soon here. Let's see. You just took Darius Slayton with this pick. You think, I don't know what's going to happen there in New York with those receivers, but
I don't think
they signed him didn't they sign him to an extension? So I feel
they signed him to an extension. They bring in, who'd they bring in? They went
Darnell Mooney
and Calvin Austin.
Odell Beckham.
Right. I mean, so, I look at this and I say, Darius Slayton, at least I know he's got that rapport with Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
And, and if here's a guy who, let's face it, I mean, he's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's my 8th receiver on this team. So, I'm not really relying on much. This will just kind of be like like a super fill-in, but he's got the potential of being the wide receiver 2 on this team. I don't see Mooney or Calvin Austin doing anything that much better than him. And Malachi Fields, prove it, Rook. And then what's going to happen the first 3 weeks of the season if Malik Neighbors isn't ready?
Beckham's not going to even make the roster, right? He's not even going to make the team. I can't see.
Oh yeah, man. I would have a hard time doing that one also. I mean, same with like Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, he's not making the team. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I mean, whatever. Yeah, it's a little crazy there. But I mean, would you think it was the weirdest thing in the world if it was like Neighbors, Slayton, and Mooney as like the top 3 wideouts on this team, and just that's how they play and they do okay with it?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise. I agree. Seeing a lot of defenses getting picked here. We had Minnesota go at the end around 17, then Jacksonville, Los Angeles. So one team has 2 defenses. Some teams still don't have one. Again, varying strategies with this. This is the Fantasy Championship, Fantasy Life Championship, $500,000 grand prize. Howard and I will be doing more of these live streams for these drafts as the season nears, as also. So you can definitely get in one, and we will let you know when we do that, put it out on the X, or we'll post it on RealTime Fantasy Sports as well. It's been a good crowd in here, Howard. We have a lot of people in here watching, so that's always exciting also. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this draft, and it's helpful. Like, that's the best way, in my opinion, if you want to figure out, the best strategies and how to draft for the coming year. You got to just get in drafts and do it. Mock drafts, it's not the same. You got to get in ones we have a little skin in the game. I'm not necessarily saying you got to get in a Fantasy Life Championship, but we have all different price points here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, and I really think it's the best way to get ready for the coming years, to get in these drafts and see what's going on. So I highly recommend it. This is a good time of year to do it also. And we have drafts going off around the clock at this point, all different price points.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's why I've been doing the live streams for this, because it's good to get yourself started, to get yourself underway for this. And there's advantages to drafting now versus drafting later on. I mean, who's to say that all of a sudden something doesn't happen to either Gadsden or Njoku, and then they're like, okay, this is now all of a sudden our new tight end. Like, imagine the price tag on like a Rondé Gadsden if David Njoku, let's say he doesn't make the team or he gets hurt or something like that. Yep. I mean, people are going to run to Gadsden. He'll leapfrog, Kelsey. He could, I could see people taking him before guys like George Kittle.
Yep, you're right. I don't even think we mentioned it, Howard. How can people take advantage of your promo code? I don't think we ever did, because your pick was coming up before.
My pick was coming up, right? It's like it's coming up again. Oh my goodness!
Again, you better get it out.
All right, jump in over to just go to RTSports. If you've never deposited, go to RTSports.com. Oh, it's my pick. It's my pick. And you know what? Listen, I got to get myself my second QB. So I'm a Strouded up, baby. Because when I'm competing for the title at the end, I'm going to have Stroud Collins in week 17.
There you go.
While Lamar is sitting out because, he's, got the rumbly bumblies or something.
So
if you've never deposited, go to rtsports.com/Bender. All right. Promo code Bender will get you a 50% match deposit up to $500. So you could end up putting in a bunch of money, get that deposit match, jump into a couple of these. Or if you put in less, I mean, the beat Bender Bender Best Ball League is $20.
Yep,
I'm on the clock again. Jeez Louise.
Again. Yeah, we have all sorts of different contests this year. We're really excited about the Beat Bender one that filled up last year, and it's been a hot ticket again this year. So if you want to get in it, you don't have to draft right away. You can just buy yourself option to get in and then just hold and figure out when you want to draft. So it's not that you have to draft right away. I would just recommend trying to get into it sooner than later, just to make sure you have a spot. And we have all different options, price points, you name it. You can do best ball, you can do season long. Commissioner's product is awesome too. We're rolling out a redesign too of our site. It's kind of coming out in pieces, but it is really going to be awesome. I think everybody's really going to love it. And I'll do a shameless plug as well. We have a draft guide that's free. It's actually linked on the site, but it's also under freedraftguide.com. We just released it. I redesigned the entire thing. Super proud of it. I think it turned out awesome. So if you want to just go through and look at something, you're trying to kill time on your phone or you're at the doctor's office, whatever, freedraftguide.com. It's totally free. Lots of great content on there, and I think it really turned out great, and I'm really proud of it and excited to offer it to everybody here for free as well. So it's an awesome product. So please check that out. I would really appreciate it. All right, Howard.
Freedraftguide.com.
Freedraftguide.com.
Popping it right in there right now.
And I designed the whole thing myself. All my information is in there, several articles. We have some great interactive like ADP stuff, average auction value pages,
Nice.
rankings, team pages that have stacks on there and team outlooks, fantasy breakouts for each team. There's just a ton of info in there. So highly recommend checking it out. I think it really turned out well, and we're just going to keep adding to it also. So it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting
That's
stuff,
pretty
Howard.
baller page there, buddy. Look at that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think it
That's
turned out pretty
awesome.
well. So, as Howard and I mentioned, we will continue to do these throughout the season. He's done several. He's been doing them every week. Uh, his beat bender contest he's been doing solo, but hopefully Howard and I will continue to do them together now going forward, because I think people like to watch them. Howard, we got a lot of people in here. I think it's a good tool for everybody too. So and it's a lot of fun. It's good to get your insight into what you're thinking when you're making your draft picks. I think that's always a great tool for fantasy owners to hear why you took people, what you were thinking at that point of the draft as well. So we'll have to keep doing these now going forward, Howard.
Dude, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's obviously it's great practice for me, but yeah, it's also there's there's so much to learn by watching like somebody else's draft. There's just a ton to learn about, just draft board tendencies when you start looking at all this, and just to have that knowledge, and then like you said, to get the why behind it as well is, it's fantastic. I love doing these because, here's the thing also, this kind of a draft here, drafting in a, it's, yes, you're competing in a 12 team league, but are you also thinking about the long term? Are you thinking about what happens, with the overall, in your draft? So drafting like a best ball tournament versus drafting a tournament like this versus drafting your own home league,
Yep.
tendencies are going to be wide, just like a really kind of off. And anybody who's using, ADP from best balls and thinking that that's going to kind of cover you, right? And in reality leagues, it's not. It's like I said earlier, right? Joe Burrow's ADP in best ball is so high up because everybody wants that stack.
Yep. Right. And I always think it's intriguing too, because I think a lot of people think, hey, what happens to my team? How can my team turn out if I take Trey McBride early in the draft because I think he's going to have a monster year? What happens if I take Josh Allen in the second or third round? And you can see when you look at a draft like this how these teams were able to stack their team, and if you like the way it turned out, because I think some teams turn out really well when they do that, and other teams don't. So I think it's it's a great learning tool to be able to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So we'll keep bringing them to you so you can keep trying to figure out what's going to be best for you.
Yeah, I mean that's and that's the thing also. Like I'm not gonna plug my draft guide on your show, but
No, you can go
I'm
ahead.
actually I'm writing a series of articles where it's like it, it's not so much like the perfect draft from your spot, but like if you're drafting from this spot, this is how I would kind of do it.
Mhm.
This is how I would see it, and I'm going to do that for each spot. And I think that that's something that you need to, it's just worthwhile to see all the different angles and nuances from different draft positions, also, so that if you're joining multiple leagues, that you're not thrown by your draft position. Like when I saw that I was picking third here, what did I say? I was like, all right, I'll end up with like Jamar Chase, and then I'll probably take Nico Collins. And I start thinking about, okay, if I do like a zero RB theory, do I do that? And I was kind of in that zone there, in that range where I was going to do it. I chickened out and took Chuba Hubbard. I did. I was going to take
Yeah.
either Waddle or Garrett Wilson. And I was like, I love my running backs too much. I'm just going to chicken out here from like just going like full all in on a zero RB maneuver here.
I hear you. It's live and learn. It's good stuff, though. Again, great practice. Appreciate you coming on. Your last pick's coming up here in a second, but thanks again, Howard. I appreciate you taking the time to give everybody some insight in your draft, and we'll have to do it again sometime soon.
I'd love to do it again soon. Yeah, you give me the where and the when, and I'm here, right? What else am I doing right now? I'm sitting. It's draft season. It's draft guide season. It's we're all getting ready. It's all
Best time
exciting
of the year.
stuff.
Yeah, best time of the year, and appreciate
Mm-mm-mm.
everybody watching as well. We've had a lot of people in here. It's great stuff. So appreciate that. Some good banter in the comments too. So we'll hopefully see you next week, Howard. And good luck to everybody out there drafting. Get in a draft today at rtsports.com. Get in one of these Fantasy Life Championship drafts or any other contest like the Beat Bender as well. So thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Ooh, Will Lutz.